Bleh. Bleh.
Oh, welcome to Booze Chat.
Fantastic.
Now I don't want to eat.
Fantastic. Why not?
It's snack time in Shea Casa Booze Chat.
Uh-huh.
You guys
Because
just ate sushi.
we just ate super sweet sushi
The brand new location.
in the the new location.
Every time we have a booze chat, it seems like the location changes. Because they're like 6 months apart from each other.
Yeah, new.
When was the last one?
It was at my house.
Yep.
It was in my living room. I still live there. It was not the one where you were involved. It was the one where she got engaged.
Woo!
So.
Still engaged.
Door.
That hasn't changed. Don't
That has
worry
not
about
changed.
it. No.
Still engaged. Planning a wedding, which is stressful.
You got a house?
Got a house, which is where we are.
Yes.
My bomb ass red
And
home.
clapping noises.
There's a lot of other space that you can't see because
Yeah.
it's a house.
The cats
like-
are running around because they have plenty of spaces to go.
Ace
So
was
you might see
freaking
less of
out.
them.
There's one right there.
You guys can't see them.
You guys don't get chips either.
This is totally not sponsored by Frito-Lay or any of their
What are you talking
affiliates.
about? We're eating.
Frito-Lay Orange Cheeto.
No, we're eating I don't know. I can't think of a different name.
We're eating orange cat
Poop.
fuzz puffs.
Orange cat fuzz puffs.
Orange cat processed cheese food.
And I'm eating triangle nacho crisps. Speaking of sponsorships, I did not get one, but I've been taking pictures of beer on Instagram lately, and I didn't tell you this, but I took a picture of the Rogue Dead Guy ale last night.
Oh yeah, I saw that picture.
And the brewery liked the photo.
Nice. What?
It's my favorite. It's my
Yay!
favorite. One of my favorite beers. So that's,
Yay!
yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. Like I said, speaking of sponsorships, I didn't get one, but
No. You did get liked.
That's the second best
But today we're
Mhm.
drinking Yangling and eating Frito-Lay products. So hit us up if you want some quality grade A content.
because we're all close to 30 and we don't care what we eat anymore.
Yay!
Speak for yourself.
I mean, I care what I eat, but today is time for snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And we did just spend a half hour preparing candy and then eating it.
and then eating candy, which was very sweet, and then I was just like,
Preparing
all of
candy.
things.
Preparing candy.
It's gonna be a really fun video.
Yeah. I hear you.
Who
Why are you meowing?
Ace is upset
I'm
about
yelling
that.
at the empty dark room that's across from me.
The empty dark room. Oh, that's not a cat.
Wouldn't it suck if I started yelling at a cat and, like, brand new house? It's Ace. He's definitely, I see him right there.
Yeah,
But I'm just like, hey, stop. And then, like, a ghost shows up. Like, while we're on camera. And I was just like, well, good thing I don't live here. See you next time.
That'd be legit.
That would be exciting.
That would be very exciting. Well, it's October, so let's talk about ghost shit.
Mm-hmm.
We did tell ghost stories on
We
the
did.
Majora's video.
One of the
He
last
didn't get
Majora
to
Mask
tell any
videos.
ghost
I didn't get
stories.
telling ghost stories.
No,
I've
so
got
it's
some
a
good ones.
perfect
I want to hear
opportunity.
Kate's ghost stories.
Okay.
Kate's got to tell a ghost story because you all have already heard ours, so it's not going to be very interesting.
Mine's
Kate, you're
boring.
just going to have to watch the video to hear ours.
Okay.
Yeah, ours
that
are
sounds
boring.
fine. Anyway, so let me stop chewing and take a little sippy sip of my beverage.
My water's in the other room.
Brewski, Yuski.
And I'm
Sounds
stuck
like
in the
you made
middle.
a mistake.
They made
You
me
got
sit in the
Cheeto
middle.
dust.
I do!
Well, Ross is gonna be a gentleman and get you your
Where
water
is it? It's in
It's-
the other room?
Yeah.
in the other room.
I dropped
Don't
the
mind
Dorito
me.
on the floor! No!
I dropped a Dorito on the floor.
That sounds
Anyway,
like a really sad song.
A potato flew around my room before you came.
It's on the kitchen table. No, it's on the counter.
Anyway,
He went to all the way to the other room. Maybe
we're just
I
gonna
should
wait
get it.
for Ross to find something.
a potato flew around the room before you came.
Thank you.
Anyway, so
Ghosts!
ghosts. So as y'all know, I listen to a lot of podcasts about serial killers, ghosts, and UFOs and conspiracy theories, so I'm not a stranger to this shit. Anyway, ghost stories. Where do we want to start? So, I've always had some weird experiences happen to me as a child. So the first one of note would be, my family used to live in New Mexico. And when I was really little, I was probably about 6 years old, I'd say. We had a really long ranch-style house, and I had a little playroom that was off of my bedroom a little bit. And one afternoon, I saw a floor-to-ceiling shadow person walk from one wall all the way through the wall across in the hallway. And of course, me not knowing what the hell I was looking at, I was panicked and I went and found my mom, who was on the other side of the house, and I was just like, there's somebody in the house. And now her looking at a 6-year-old is thinking, do you mean like there's somebody at the door or what? And because my dad's job, we always had like a UPS and packages and stuff coming to the door. He's an antiques dealer. And my dad was out of town, so she was just like, okay, well, you must mean somebody's UPS is here. So she goes to the front door, and of course nobody's there, and I'm like, no, somebody is in the house. And that's when my mom looked at me and was like, oh no, because we lived kind of out in the middle of nowhere, where our closest neighbor was about a half a mile away. So if our alarm system didn't get tripped, and like she was alone with a 6-year-old saying that somebody was inside the house. Now, I kind of explained to her what was going on and said, no, like this is what I saw a shadow man walk through the walls. And so she's still freaked out. She's relaxed a little bit now because it's not an actual human being in the house. But
no, it's just a demon.
Yeah, no, just a demon. But she starts...
That's way not worse.
We go to the library, which we did every weekend. And she is just kind of curious, so she pulls out this book of historical outfits, and she's flipping through these pages, and I stop her on one, and I'm like, that's what I saw. And it is this, would have been a Mexican outfit from probably the late 1700s, early 1800s. And he had like this little wooden hat with a little ball on the top, and it was like, that was a silhouette that I saw. And so my mom is like, oh my God, you can see ghosts. And so we had a guy that, it was a gated community, but it wasn't like a gated community. It was just, it had a gate at the front, because it was out in the middle of nowhere. So the gate attendant was this really, really nice Hispanic guy named Arthur, who always had like, there was always something weird about him. Like, I'm sure, this has been years and years and years, and I'm sure that if I drove up to this complex again and if I saw him still working the front gate, I would not be surprised. Like, I feel like he's just eternally there. But my mom was talking to him one day, and he was talking about people seeing ghosts or complaining about people coming up and like knocking and looking into their windows at night. And my mom told him the story of what had happened, and we'd only been in the house for maybe a year at that point, and he just kind of looked at her and was like, yeah, the people that lived there before would always come down and complain about people in the house. And I was like, oh shit. So my mom told me the story a couple times as I've been an adult, but it's still seared into my brain. So that's number one ghost story.
Number one.
How many?
A few. And then...
Where was that again?
New Mexico. Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Why did you live in New Mexico?
My dad is a pre-1900s private collector of Native American art, and he was a director of a gallery out there.
Oh, that's fancy.
Okay.
Yeah, we lived there for about 6 years.
I wasn't sure that I missed that tidbit or whether you had not mentioned it.
Yeah, no, I said he was the antique dealer, which is pretty much the same thing. But it's specialized. But, so we want to talk about another ghost story. Well, I grew up in Michigan, and...
Which is not New Mexico.
Which is not New Mexico. We lived in New Mexico from the time that I was about 5 till the time that I was about 10.
There's the thing is on my face.
Oh, yeah.
I just
It has recognized that you, a
Look,
person,
it
are
likes
right
you
here.
now.
You,
hi.
you have a face. Hi.
Ross doesn't have one.
I
We
don't.
might have to edit some of these. You don't edit Boost Chat, do you?
No, it doesn't need to be.
Oh, okay.
It's enjoyable.
There's a lot of rambling.
It's
got
an
distracted,
experience.
sorry.
So, here's another story. Here's a little story about a guy.
Tell it.
So I was driving I was in high school, and I was driving my boyfriend at the time home. Not my fiance. Boyfriend at the time home from some event at night. And he lived kind of off a country road. Not too far away from like the regular downtown area, but like just off the country road a little bit. And every once in a while there would be people out walking their dogs, and like there weren't any streetlights or anything, so you kind of had to drive through there a little carefully. And there was somebody out walking, and so I stopped my car, and this person just stood in front of my car, and I was like, okay, what the fuck? Like, I'm just trying to take him home. What's the deal? And this person just stopped in front of my car and then walked around to the driver's side door. And I didn't realize this was weird until my boyfriend was very frantically shaking my arm, going like, what the hell? Because whatever I was looking at, he could not see.
Oh, yay.
And so as soon as I figured out that he could not see it, I was a little shook up. And apparently through the entire scenario, I was just kind of locked on, and he couldn't get my attention. And what I had seen was a gentleman in a waistcoat who had a little mustache. And so I'm shook. But I get him home, and I'm just shook. And his mother, this beautiful, wonderful Italian woman, I kind of explained to her what's going on, and she's like, I'm just gonna make you food.
Because that's the solution to everything.
I'm just gonna make you some raviolis and take you home, because you've seen some things. So I have this moment, and then a couple of days go by, and my sweet boyfriend he says, I didn't want to tell you this before, but I thought about the experience that you had, and I wanted to tell you that there's property up the road, and it's one of the founding families of the area that we lived in, and there's a cemetery near their house. And we went on the internet, and we found a bunch of photos of that family, and I pointed to one of the people, and it was kind of the patriarch of the family, and it was him who I saw. Now another afternoon, and that strip of road is now, I've gone into it, done a little research, and is a very active area for spiritual events. Just because there's a lot of older properties up there, and it's kind of been untouched by the rest of the development of the area. But there was another day, and this was middle of the day, I was leaving my boyfriend's house and driving down the road, and now we lived in Michigan, and it is not uncommon at all to see old cars on the road. So like anything from the 1950s back, so like Model T, like if it's a nice day, somebody could be out driving a Model T and you wouldn't think anything of it. That's just, growing up in Michigan, that's how it is. So there's a Model T Ford driving behind me on the road, and I didn't think of it at all until we reached a stoplight before this bridge, and then I went on the bridge and the car was gone behind me. And I was like, oh, that was weird, maybe they turned off. But I had this kind of feeling in my chest where I was just like, I don't think they did. I think they just kind of disappeared. But as I was driving home, there's a big cemetery that's one of the bigger cemeteries in the area. And I passed it, and as I was passing it, I had the radio on, like any teenage girl would. And the radio cut out right before we got there, and I had my first and only EVP, which is an electronic voice phenomena, and it just said, thank you. And I think whatever was in the car behind me had hopped into my car, and I dropped them off at the cemetery, and they were like, cool, a ghost ride.
I just shipped my pants.
I just shipped my pants. So there's that.
Nope.
There's a lot of haunted areas in some of the places that I've lived and some of the places that I've been. Ross, the place that we went to college, Their dorms are hella haunted
Mm-hmm.
because they were built on top of what used to be the cemetery for the Catholic Church that's down there in the same area.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
The old dorms or the new dorms? The old dorms
The
make
old
more
dorms.
sense. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I spent a lot of time in there, but I didn't find any. I didn't see any activity.
My old roommate used to have lots and lots of nightmares, and I've also heard other people tell stories about those dorms. Yeah, they're kind of bad vibes.
Maybe I'm just not susceptible. Well, I also never slept there.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever slept there. I was there really late a lot, but I never. There was always activity going on whenever I was there.
There was a lot of weird stuff. Also, the apartment complex, or the apartment building across the street, Seneca, that I used to live in, used to be the Ohio Hotel. And you can hear screaming from the basement sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a little boy in that building, and I'm not really sure who he is, but he and I had a little bit of an understanding. He's dead, which is something that...
You understand that you're dead.
He's dead. Which
I'm not.
I try not to... Which is another video that we can just go into. I have ghost experiences, and I've always had ghost experiences, and... I see this thing rolling around where they're like, oh, would you rather be able to lucid dream or talk to the dead? You don't talk to the dead talk to you. You don't get to choose it. They're like, sup, motherfucker. We're about to talk your ear off. And they're chatty. Because they're, they don't have a lot of people to talk to. But no, there's a little boy, and it's tough with children spirits because you're not sure if they know they're dead. Which is always weird.
That's fair.
But yeah, he used to come into my apartment and mess with my shit.
What was your understanding then?
Well, we had an understanding after a little while because I was like, okay, somebody's moving stuff that's not my roommate. And finally we had we encountered each other and it was like, oh, you can chill, but stop messing with my things,
How did
please.
you encounter each other?
Oh, I just walked into my bedroom and he was just in the doorway.
That's creepy.
Just
I don't know if I'd be more scared of a child ghost or an adult ghost.
It's a big energy thing. You can
Yeah.
you can really feel if something's there to be malevolent or if something's angry. At least for me, there's another, there's a place called Greenfield Village that is attached to the Henry Ford Museum in Detroit. And they have a bunch of old buildings there that are historically, they were just moved there, but they are legit. They were just moved out of Detroit and into this little area so that they could be preserved. I was there on a church trip, which was a bad idea. We had a fun time though, but there was a girl in my group who was like, I want to go find ghosts, which anytime anyone's like, I want to go find ghosts, don't do it.
It's a bad idea.
No. If you're in a place and you're
I was
being
that
respectful.
person as a kid.
Yeah, if you're going in there and you're being respectful and you're like, I would like to contact these ghosts. I'm in your space. She was very much like, I'm going in here for entertainment for me. Now, for someone who's sensitive, that's not a good idea to associate with. Anyway, so we were in this house, and I started to feel a little sick. Not so hot. And I was feeling this energy, and there were a lot of, we were there on a really busy day, there were a lot of people in the house, and all of a sudden I feel this woman's energy come up the stairs, and it was like one of those old staircases that comes up and then down at the back of the house. And I was on the staircase with one of my friends, and all of a sudden I feel this energy come down the stairs and zero in on me. I know you can see me, I know you can feel me, and that was a walkthrough. And having a walkthrough is it's like getting dumped in a bucket of cold water, because you feel them come through you, and then you also are rushed with their energy. And for her, she was like, I want every single one of these people out of my house right now. And I looked at my friend, I was like, I gotta go. And he just looked at me and was like, he knew my history and he knew what was going on. He was like, okay. I was like, somebody just walked through me and we need to leave right now. But I attract things, and it's why I stage everything in my house. Ross, are you uncomfortable?
I've just never had any experiences like that. At least that deep.
It's...
I've only had stuff like that in one house. It was my mom's old house. I told a little bit of the story on our Majora's Mask video.
Somebody threw a hairbrush at you.
Somebody threw a hairbrush at me. My sister could see it.
Oh.
She's younger than me, but I could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen it. But
I've never seen anything. I don't ever want to see anything.
I knew that there was an old man that had died at that house, but I knew that there was something else that was there. Because the old man, he wasn't an issue really. Like sometimes he would open like the dryer or the cabinets or whatever when you walked out of a room. But the other thing, like it only came around at night. It seemed like. Yeah, my sister saw it, but I had never seen it.
I think
Said it was
residual hauntings are really interesting, where it's like energy that's trapped in a place.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also like intelligent hauntings, which it sounds like you were experiencing. Where it's just like there's an entity or a spirit that lives in an area or that's tied to an area or a person and is just like very aware of what's going on. Yeah, those are always weird.
The closest I think I ever got to anything that was haunted was when I worked at Elevate, and that's right on the edge of Walhalla. And I mean, that's one of the big Columbus, like, well-known places. The house near the bridge over Walhalla that's haunted. The guy that killed his family back in the earlier part of the century. He killed his family and hung himself off the bridge or something like that. Supposedly, that road. It's also, if you've never been there, if you're familiar with the Columbus area, it's a beautiful area. But it's also very, very secluded because it's a road just like cut straight through the middle of a forest. And there's a ton of houses back there. But I got freaked out walking through it in the broad daylight. Like, I would take breaks walking. Like, it was literally at the edge. Like, our building was a old church at the edge of Walhalla, at the corner of it. Walhalla and North Broadway. Or I guess it was Walhalla and Indianola. But I would just go down there. And for the most part, I would feel fine. And then there were times where I would get halfway down, not even close to the house, and I would just not feel comfortable anymore. And I don't necessarily think that was anything to do with that. Maybe it was subconsciously, because I guess I have to try and explain a scientific explanation. But I was just like, I'm not going to go any farther than this. I'm especially not by myself when I can't prove anything to anybody, so I'm going to turn around and go. But luckily, hopefully, that is the majority.
I'm sorry, there's a cat trying to open a cabinet.
He's just staring. He's just stopping.
How far can I go? That was exactly what I didn't think, Ace. How far can I go? How far can I go back? No. Well, I think
How
that's...
fast can I run away from this?
Yeah. I mean, I've had people talk about... They're like, oh, do you want to go to Walhalla at night? And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to Walhalla at night.
Ouija board.
Yeah. Like, Ray, my roommate thinks it's funny. He's just like, can we get a... He's like, how funny would it be? He's like, I think it would be funny to freak Ross out by getting a coffee table that is a Ouija board. And I'm like,
because
no.
it would freak you out. It's not that funny, but...
It's like, we are not. I was like, do not bring an Ouija board into my apartment.
I'm
I
okay.
can't fuck
not.
with that.
Like, I'm okay with the coffee tables that are Ouija boards, but like, as soon as you put a planchette on a Ouija board, no.
I do not.
I can't fuck with that.
I like my apartment. I do not want to know if it's haunted. It's an old apartment. It's not that old, but it's older-ish.
I mean, there were shadow people in my apartment.
I don't even want to hear it. I'm in a completely different building on the opposite side of the lake. So that's I'm just saying, like, he thinks it's funny, and if you acknowledge that it exists, if spirits exist, why would you even intentionally try and mess with them? And that's what I am. Just like, I'm gonna go ahead and say ignorance is bliss in this case, and I haven't seen anything freaky happen, and I don't want him to bring that into my apartment.
I feel like we know
because
somebody.
I will break the lease and move out. Just warning you. I know you're not gonna watch this.
He might.
If he does,
Tony will. Don't use a Luigi
Tony,
board.
don't use a Luigi board. If you do, come here. We'll find a safe space and we'll do that.
Kate's like, I
It'll be
welcome the
fine.
ghost.
I've used one once.
Really?
When
Wait,
I
I
was...
feel like you might have
I'm
mentioned
pretty
it.
sure I have explained it to you
Yeah.
before. I was 10, probably. Maybe even younger than that, and I was at my friend's house in an old house in Gehenna. And she didn't have it, and I didn't know what it was, so I didn't know what it did. So we made one out of cardboard construction paper, and we just cut out a triangle, and it worked. And there was a witch in her closet, a spirit of a witch in her closet, and then there was something out in her living room, and the thing in her living room was nice, but the thing in her closet was not. And when I told my parents that we had messed with a Ouija board with the mind of a 9-year-old innocent boy, they were just like, do not ever do that again. You do not, because my parents are religious. Like they brought me up as a Baptist, but my dad's the kind of guy that would listen to Coast all the time.
Yeah! Shout out to Coast to Coast!
So they're just like, yes, God, but aliens?
Yes, God, but also probably cryptids.
Yeah.
He can make aliens and whatever he wants.
So, but my parents were still the kind of just like, don't fuck with ghosts. just don't.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the name of the episode.
Don't
fuck with ghosts.
Spoopy time!
Can
Well,
you curse in the title?
we
We can put little
like a
asterisks
little-
and
yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
But I think that's gonna be good because I think the episode's gonna
That's a good one.
finish it. That
Yeah.
was a good one.
We could do a sesh where we just like talk about spoopy shit, where like we just talk about spooky tools.
Spooky tools.
Yeah.
Spooky tools.
Next episode maybe of Cartone cosplay. Spooky tools.
We
Well,
bring a Luigi board.
If you like what you see, subscribe down below. Hit that bell if you're already subscribed. Tony, we love you. Give us a thumbs up. Maybe we'll have you on.
And hi, Tony's
chat?
girlfriend, maybe.
Hi, Tony's girlfriend. I'm watching you.
Forcing you to watch these videos. All right.
Alright. Bye.
We got